If you couldn't make it to a social media marketing world, I have a recap for you here, especially if you're working as a freelance marketer or marketing assistant. Hey, I'm Emily Reagan, and I train virtual assistants to be higher paid marketing assistants and beyond. When you do marketing, it's more flexible and it's more creative, it's analytical, it lends itself to project work and is closer tied to the ROI, so you can charge more. So I am all about helping virtual assistants really hone in on their marketing services and start taking on the title of marketer. So I just got back from the Social Media Marketing World Conference. This is put on by Michael Stelzner. He hosts two podcasts, AI Explored, which I absolutely love, and then also Social Media Examiner, the social media marketing podcast. And he did this event, and I'm not going to lie, I got a free ticket and went with my friend who was speaking on the stage. Many of you know her, Brenna McGowan. She has been on my podcast talking about pre-launch strategy, how to create buzz before you launch an offer or a campaign, and she spoke on anticipation marketing. So let me preface with, I went there to support my friend, and I had never been before, and it is a pricey ticket, but if you buy it now, it's definitely cheaper than, when you get closer to the event. It was in San Diego. It was in the last week of March during my kids' spring break. So it's a little bit of a personal stretch to go, but I definitely wanted to support my friend, try to go to conferences here or there as a service provider, because this is where clients find you, trust you, book you, refer you. I remember going to one of Stu McLaren's events in 2018 and really getting my business off the ground because I saw the demand of business owners who wanted to hire me, get me in their business to help. There was not enough of me to go around. And it's just good for networking. It puts you in a different level when you're the service provider, the ops person, the marketer who shows up to the events, not just the client or the course creator or the person who's visible, doing all the visibility work. So social media marketing world was definitely geared toward the corporate marketers, the social media managers behind some of the big brands, the corporations. There were some business owners there. So it wasn't necessarily an event to go in and grab clients from. It was really about being around your people who get it, who understand what you're going through, the challenges of getting the algorithm to like your stuff and push your stuff, and to get better. And that's essentially what I try to do on my podcast, on my YouTube channel, and in my community, the Digital Marketers Work Group, because I know it's a lot for one person who's juggling the work, drowning in the work, trying to produce all the content, fix all the burning fires, and stay up to date. And so having a good podcast like this one or Michael Stelzner's AI Explored can really help you excel, deliver excellence, keep your business going, because it's all about evolution, evolving, being comfortable with the changes that are happening right now. So I wanted to bring a couple of my lessons from the social media marketing world, give them to you straight here, especially for those of you who couldn't go or are thinking about it in the future. Is this the right conference for me? Because we do need to be picky with our time. Where do we go? And this is definitely one that I think is worth it when it comes to your professional development. Now, Michael is not paying me to endorse this at all. Like I said, I was going there as a first time free ticket. And I was fascinated. I love to observe and study, and I love to analyze. I cannot turn my brain off. And then I love to share it with my people. So you're welcome. If you find this helpful, please hit subscribe to this YouTube channel, and I'll be sure to deliver more content that will help you too. So in the meantime, let's get into the biggest lesson. I'm just going to cut to the chase. Nothing works and everything works. Oh my goodness. We had speakers talking about all the different platforms. We had LinkedIn, we had paid ads, we had lots of Instagram, we had AI. Actually, there were 4 different tracks for going through the event, and I have this very ripped up schedule, and then you could pick one of the rooms, pick your track, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different rooms you could be in. So there's a main stage and then smaller side rooms with speakers. And so you really had your pick of what you wanted to learn. And it was interesting because I got a small portion of the speakers and their presentations. However, it gets released to the all access people later. So I'm going to get the replay, the slides, all the freebies, and the good stuff. So I had to be very strategic, and this is advice you could use about what I attended in person and what I could save for later. So in hindsight, maybe I should have saved the Google Analytics one for later because that wasn't necessarily one where I was going to go network or like it wasn't simple. I'll just put it that way. Luckily, I know Google Analytics, but I could see a lot of people getting lost in there. It was very technical and tactical, which I love. So I try to be intentional. I learned this from my friend Linda Sadu. When you go to an event, have a goal, have an intention, and don't just go there willy-nilly. And what do you want out of this? And so it helps me get the focus. It helps me not feel overwhelmed by the amount of people there, about all the speakers, all the stuff I'm learning, the fire hose of information. I went there, first and foremost, to support my friend. So I put her first. I got B-roll. I gave her the pep talks. I fed her egg white bites, things like that. But then for me, it was networking. I wasn't necessarily there to be in learn mode. And it's interesting because I actually did learn. That's what I want to share with you today. So I encourage you, when you go to a conference or an event, or maybe it's just a chamber event, what is your intention there? Maybe it's to talk to 5 people. Maybe it's to schedule coffee chat. Maybe it's to connect with one speaker. So I made sure my friend Brenna and I went to rooms where our friends were speaking, to deepen those relationships, to get pictures to cheer them on to, so that cheerleader role continued. But we also went to rooms where we wanted to be seen. We wanted to meet people. And that was really great because the speakers come out at the end and you can talk to them. You can get pictures with them. I remember one of my first conferences was Kajabi and me stalking out Neil Patel and totally fangirling. Not at that level. By the way, I never did get a picture with him. He was so surrounded by people. And that was in 2019. So I can't imagine now. But me being able to take pictures of the speakers and tag them and send those photos to them later, or just talk to them later and explain what I do, dial in my elevator pitch, goes a long way with networking my business. Plus, that grows my social media. I did something extra and I started an IG channel. I'd already done that, but I decided, you know what? I'm going to share one takeaway from all the speakers over there. And I grew my channel by 20 people. Okay, big whoop. But it was really fun for me and my brain and for my own recall and learning to take notes and then share it. And so I would just give away one big tip, like Sean Cannell. He's shared his video recipes. If it wasn't a gate guarded freebie, I might share it. I mean, there's some like ethical stuff there, but maybe it was just an aha moment. Maybe it was something that he knew would help a freelancer. So I would share those moments too. And so I was really strategic about which events I went to and why. Okay, so I encourage you to do that, knowing I can go back and watch the replays if it was something really juicy and tactical that I wanted to learn later. Another example is Rachel Woods. She does the AI exchange. She's been on Rick Mulready's podcast. I wanted to hear her in person and I wanted to connect with her. And that was beneficial for me. That's when Brenna and I split up, but you had to think about that. Okay, so with that said, I didn't catch all the speakers. There's some I want to go back, but the speakers I did catch, there was a lot of conflicting information. Someone would say this works on Instagram. Someone else would say this. Someone would say, you need to go viral. You need to be more entertaining. Someone else would say, it's okay. Take out the stress. Do easy. And I think what I really walked away with is the fact that we have to figure out marketing for our clients and what works for them. Of course, this is very meta and applies to our own business, but let's put it in terms of our client work. We need to be very targeted in our clients' goals and also what is their capacity and what is sustainable. Because doing Adley Kinsman's very viral, crafted storytelling reels and shorts isn't going to work for some of my clients who struggle to even get me content in the first place, right? And then Shannon McKinstry was sharing the easy B-rolls. Chelsea Pete's, she had a lot of good ideas for social posts, but they weren't all saying the same thing. And one speaker would say, oh, you really need to dial in and talk to this one person. Another speaker would say, go bigger, go up one stack in the Russian nesting doll there. And so it really got me thinking about the ability to go into a business and just use our brains and make decisions and test and just see what's working. And I think it's important that us as marketers stay up on the trends, but there's not a pressure to do it one way because that doesn't work for everyone. And so some of my unicorns were like, tell us what works, what works. And the answer is always a very ugly, disappointing, it depends. It depends what your goals are. Like I have a very niche audience. My podcast is not going to compete with Amy Porterfield's. It's just how it is, but that's okay, right? I'm speaking to my person. So some of the trending things I heard, definitely AI. getting on the front of that. You guys have heard me talk on the podcast. Virtual assistants, marketers who do that can charge more. It also will make your life easier. It lets you do more of the work you love. And there were some really good speakers on that. I need to go back and watch a few more. I saw a huge push for YouTube, which isn't new to us. Hello, if you're watching this video podcast, it's going to be on YouTube, but people are really talking about ways to do it easy, how to make things easier, simpler, and content strategy flows. And those seem to go over really well. Like have your client, I think Rory Vaden taught, like have your client do a 6-minute video, and then you can segment it into all these different platforms and slice it and dice it and repurpose it. And that's really the name of the game right now. So YouTube was big, starting with YouTube first. And then it also, again, it depends on your client, but Jerry Potter had a really good framework for he calls them modcasts, where you follow a particular module format with your podcast on YouTube. That was a big one. LinkedIn, of course, huge. I think that platform is really growing. And so if you could be the service provider who learns a platform really well, yes, you can start with that specific platform, go really deep, but also being able to cross different platforms. It seems to be the trend I'm seeing. I mean, I've talked about that on my show, the way teams are shrinking. Business owners want less people doing more. Luckily, AI lets us do that, but that just means you can't be a task doer or only know one thing. We do need a broader skill set. That doesn't mean you work cheaper. That doesn't mean you charge less, but you really see that as a strength and a core positioning for you to charge more, because you can offer that overall marketing strategy or content strategy there. So one of the big discussions was trust and just using these platforms to build trust. So I think always having that in mind with whatever you do. Okay, so I want to talk about the speaker for a minute there. At some point, you leave this position of consuming content, and then you start to realize, hey, I should start to be on the stage. So a lot of you listening to this episode, you could be speaking about the strategies, the signature methods, the IP that you do for your clients. This would be a really good stage for you to aim for one day. When you have done it over and over with clients, you're testing, you're seeing the data, you have a really strong case for speaking on stage one day. And so I encourage you to start studying speakers. I could tell my friend had a speaking coach. She stood out with a lot of the speakers I watched. If you're wondering, Brenna hired Heather Sager, who has also been on the show most recently talking about selling on webinars and discovery calls. She's also has a training inside my program. But I could tell those who invested in speaking and were better prepared. Not that anyone was awful, but it definitely is something that you are going to need to seek out. Luckily, inside our digital marketers work group, this May, we have trainings for speaking tips. We have 2 advanced trainings coming, one about writing your speaker bio, and we have another one about speaking tips so that you can step up your own visibility. It might start with smaller podcasts, smaller shows, and guest teaching, but it could grow into being on the stage explaining what's working. It was a very tactical conference, and so that could be a really good way to get in. You're not going in trying to blow everyone away with this transformation and all these limiting beliefs and mindset shifts. You're just like, hey, this is the framework that works. Everyone was eating that up at this conference. It worked really, really well. So if you are a YouTube manager, if you are a social media manager, if you are an SEO specialist, this could be something to aim for you. Now you start studying the speakers, you start seeing what works. It was fun. At one of the last parties, the last night, I was sitting between 2 speakers, both very high Instagram coaches who are really good at what they do. And they were talking about how they even got invited to speak. And so I felt like I was eavesdropping on this, but I also knew from my friend Brenna, but each one of them had been invited to the conference because of a word of mouth referral. So I cannot stress this enough. This is happening up at the highest levels of service providers who've climbed the ladder, put in their time, gotten really well known as an expert in their niche, and they are turning around and referring each other. And so take this lesson as a service provider now, even if you're just starting or you don't feel like you're quite there at that level, of networking with your peer group. Because as your peer group gets opportunities, as rising tides rise, all boats lift, right? Like that the saying, but your peers will start to refer you. And this is the whole essence of the community I created, the Digital Marketers Work Group. I wanted a place for freelance marketers to feel safe, seen and heard, to be able to share, to commiserate, but more importantly, to refer each other as we're all growing our businesses, because this next wave of business owners is us. Amy Porterfield, Jasmine Star, Jenna Kutcher, they've got their little clique. These other cliques are forming and rolling the waves into the beach. And so get on that wave and get there with this group that's going places. So important with who you surround yourself with and letting your peer group know what opportunities you're looking for. Whenever I'm on a podcast, I turn around and say, hey, you should have my friend on there. Like, I'm reaching over and grabbing people's hands and bringing them with me. Sometimes they're people from my work group, which feels so phenomenal, to say, hey, you should have this service provider on next. She's an expert at this. That's the name of the game. Have people talking about you when you're not in the room. And this is the hard part about networking, because it's this web that grows out slowly and it takes time. But it will never happen if you don't ask for it. If you don't show your face, if you don't show up to events. Now, that doesn't mean ditch all your client work and spend 99% of your time networking. I mean, there's a balance. You got to pay the bills. You got to do the work. You have to have the competency behind it, be an expert at your services, know what you're doing, and build your name that way too. So that was really insightful to know that the invitations happen vetted word of mouth, just like a business owner in Voxer will say, hey, Emily, who do you know who can help me design a landing page? Who do you know that is an executive assistant? Who do you know that could help me with my podcast? Who do you know that knows Go High Level? I get those kind of requests all the time. Turn around and refer people in my work group. The same thing is happening with speakers on stages. So you got to get your name out there. Best way to do that, get in the right networks. And sometimes that's pay to play. And sometimes that's showing up to events free. It's going to conferences like this. It's joining communities. It's getting active. Okay, so I saw 3 main lessons while I was there of things I could impart to you as a marketer dealing with your clients so you can avoid this. You could take the next step, take initiative, and wow your clients and prevent disaster from happening. Okay, these are 3 real stories. These are 3 real stories of what happened. Okay, 1, my friend did this beautiful speech. She taught all about creating buzz. She taught about pre-selling. She gave the tactics on how to do it. And then it was time for her freebie and the link didn't work. Now, I was quickly texting the tech people on her team because I knew who they were. They're people from my work group. Like, SOS, the link's not working. She did check the link before she went on stage. We should all do that. We should all think about our clients before they get on a podcast, a summit, a bundle, and check their links. Actually, we should probably go through their entire funnels once or twice a year and check those little icons, check the navigation, check the sidebar, check the link in bios. All that stuff requires constant care and refreshing. You make yourself indispensable. If you just do it, you let them know you do it. Let them know when you fix it. So she did check her link and it didn't work. And I saw her face, kind of sheer panic. She held it together when somebody in the audience, the first question was like, hey, your link's not working. Okay, spoiler alert. It turns out that the internet in that room was just slow. I think she broke the internet. Too many people were going to download her freebie. And she's like, oh, the link, maybe the QR code isn't working. So also check the QR code on the slide. And it turns out it wasn't that. It was just the internet. And so I kind of thought about what would I do in that situation? And as a speaker, I would say, hey, why don't you DM me and I'll send you the link later. And it actually worked to her benefit because she didn't say that, but people knew to do that because we're all social savvy people. But in another audience, that would have been really smart. What's the platform of your choice? Get them to DM you, start a conversation. That grew her Instagram. It actually worked out for the better because then she was also able to say, hey, can you review my talk for me? Because behind the scenes, all the speakers are getting rated and it decides whether they're asked back or not. So it was really essential that she ask for the review. And it was a perfect opportunity to follow up with a conversation. So it worked out for the best. It's also a lesson in turning things into good, seeing the silver lining. It's kind of funny how that happened. And I'm really proud of her for keeping it together. I'm really proud of her. And I could see like the trust, like maybe my team messed up. And so if you could just be the teammate behind the scenes, just evoking trust, right? It's all about trust right now, whether you're a buyer or you're on the team. One thing that would have been really cool for my friend is if she had had that ManyChat set up. Rory had his set up where you just put in your name and your email and it gets delivered. That would have been really nice to help with the big influx of people asking for the link. And if your client has a lot of followers or has a big event, that ManyChat will actually really help them save time and not be stressed. Because Brenda was there like, I got to respond to all these people, and like finding time to do that when you're supposed to be networking in person and not on your phone was really hard. Okay, so another funny thing happened. One of my friends was taking the stage and the MC just took liberty with her bio. I don't know what happened, whether they missed a connection call to go over it, but it appears what happened is he went over her website, pulled a bunch of information and introduced her, and it was bad. He pulled the worst things and he quoted something wrong that made it seem like she was a billionaire, basically. And it was just awkward. She had really good poise about it. She recovered. She did her disclaimer when he introduced her, but it got me thinking as a marketing assistant, review your client's speaker page, press page, and website before any big speaking event weeks ahead of time so that the MCs, if they're scrambling to pull a bio together, if they are just lifting things on their own, make sure it's accurate. Because I know even in my own business, there's outdated things that we're just not getting to. And what is the most crucial before that? I mean, it was a really awkward introduction, and that's something a team could have easily fixed and caught. Better yet, submitting a speaker bio, having one on your press page for your clients that is a read out loud one so that a podcaster or an MC could just read it and it makes sense. So it would be third person is so smart. Luckily in May in the work group, we're having Kim Keel come to teach us how to write speaker bios. I've been through her training. It's amazing. We'll be able to use that for ourselves as freelancers do more speaking, but also to write one for our clients. If you're pitching your clients, if you're putting their name in the hat for speaking events, engagements, having a solid bio, something you can add to your skill set, something you can just take care of your client. Okay, the fourth tip is to use your attendance at an event to your advantage. So I'm watching my friend Brenna. She's going through her own pre-launch for her program, and she's using this as street cred. Obviously, it's a media appearance, but it also makes really good content to demonstrate her authority, even like me as an attendee to be able to talk about it, to send out a timely email, to do a timely broadcast about it. It just adds that relevancy that we're missing a lot in online content. I have a journalism background, and that's one of the news elements is timeliness and relevance. And so if you can be talking about events in real time. Like if I'd really had my act together, I would have been doing IG lives with the speakers. I would have been doing more stories. I could have really promoted the heck out of that and created a lot of FOMO, but also thought leadership around that. And, having that channel was good for me. I was able to sit there in the room and share quick tips. It worked for my style. It was sustainable for me, but encourage your clients to show off that. And also getting selfies or pictures, they don't have to be selfies, definitely no duck lips, with the speakers. So Allie Bjork, she is already going to be on my podcast. We've been talking in the DMs for a while. We got to meet up in person. You better believe I got a picture with her because when it comes time to promote the podcast she's on with me, I will now have a media asset. It looks so much better to have that organic content than a completely produced Canva graphic with our headshots, So thinking in terms of how can I use this to up my own positioning as an expert, showing that I'm in the room, I'm learning, I'm investing in myself. All of that is really sexy to clients who want to work with you. Seeing you invest in your business shows you're serious and that you'll be serious and confident in their business too, showing up with the work and the services that you are hired to perform. Okay, my last big tip for you is a mindset one. Show up with that big speaker energy. I know it's weird when you're like, I should be on the stage, or I'm not quite ready, but I know I want to go there. I could easily talk about LinkedIn or LinkedIn newsletters or Instagram reels. Show up, dress the part, do your hair, do your makeup, have your brand colors, and look the part. Part of our business is acting like we are already at our higher self. We are already in the successful business of our dreams. You know how like you dress the part for the interview, you dress the part for the job you want, your dream job, you dress it now, you feel it now. That's what we need to do. When we step into conferences, we don't go all meek. We have to have this attitude, I deserve to be here. I'm the expert people need to talk to today. And don't hold yourself back. I talked about being strategic with your intention, but there's this mindset of, I deserve to be here. I went to a conference a year ago and I remember this, excuse my French, douchebag saying, why are you here? I was at the speaker party, I was invited, and it just really stuck with me like, dude, I deserve to be here. So I made sure when I went to this conference, even though I don't have a speaking gig, I didn't have the capacity to do it. Could I do it one day? Yes. I'm going to act like I'm a speaker. And I remember at that other conference, people asked if I was a speaker because I dressed the part. I walked around confident and played the part because that's what my higher self is doing. She's getting those gigs. She's getting paid. She's a key person of influence. So you have a service provider need to remember this thinking, this playing big thinking when you show up in your business to in-person events, to virtual mixers, to guest teaching, to anything, to a podcast, to a client call, have that big speaker energy. And maybe we need to shift the word speaker for you, but act like it even though you don't have it yet. I have seen so many business owners who aren't there yet just embrace the energy of being there already. And it works. It's a whole mindset thing. I can't even explain the psychology, but it's a form of positive self-talk and manifestation that gets you there. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to get in my head. I'm not going to hear that guy saying, why do you deserve to be here? And I'm going to tell myself I'm here. I've arrived. I deserve to be here. I'm the person people are wanting to meet and know. I can help people. Not like just I'm here to sell. What was really funny is the host of the event for a hot second thought I was a speaker and forgot to introduce himself. I was like, when? That's exactly what I wanted. And I'm not in there like, oh, like hire me for the next one. Not at all. I just wanted to carry the presence of that. And it worked. It took me 5 years to get here, stepping out to be the visibility, the face of my business. It wasn't easy. But I'll tell you, things changed for me when I went to that first conference and people met me. The side conversations I had, that's how I got my whole idea for the work group, was talking to Deanna Welsh, a content writer, at that very event who said, you know what, you're sitting on something good here. And just her reflecting back something good on me that gave me the whole idea for my course, my membership. I should train people. Supply and demand. I should teach people what I'm doing. There's not enough of me to go around. I could help people. And that's how my business started. That's why I started my Unicorn Digital Marketing Assistant School. So I could give women the skills to be freelancers. That's why I started my work group. So I could give these freelancers the network to get jobs, to keep their businesses going without stressing. If I hadn't been there, if I hadn't talked to people, if I'd stayed in the corner like an introvert, which I had those feelings a lot, I've seen the clicks there too. I know when I'm not a part of it, but like I'm always going to go out there and create my own. And I'm going to talk to the people who are open and willing. And I'm going to attract more of that. So I hope you can take that, embrace it, and use it for you. So I hope you enjoyed this podcast. I'm always open to your reviews, your ideas, your feedback. And you can always DM me on Instagram at emilyreaganpr.com. I'd love to know which conferences you're going to in the next calendar year, which ones have been good for you as a service provider. I know my friend Jordan Gill said whenever she shows up as an ops person to these events, she also gets harassed. Everybody wants to hire her. So think about it. You can go to these events strategically and move the needle in your business. It's a long game, but it's worth it. And it works. Okay, I'll see you in the next episode. I'll take a sip of my Jocko protein shake. Oh my gosh, I'm going to get a chocolate mustache if I do that. Okay, stop. Oh my God. I get really itchy when I do podcasts.